The knock came at 2:17 a.m., 3 hesitant taps that barely carried through the storm. I wasn't sleeping anyway. Insomnia and deadlines make terrible bedfellows. When I opened the door, there stood Eliza, drenched from the downpour, mascara tracking down her cheeks like tiny rivers of regret. Behind her, through sheets of rain, I could make out her ancient Honda, hazard lights blinking weakly against the darkness. She didn't need to explain. I already knew. If you've ever found yourself caught between compassion and complication, between helping someone you once loved and protecting your hard-won peace, stay with me. This story might just help you navigate your own impossible choice. Like, subscribe, and join me on this journey, because sometimes the most profound life lessons arrive on our doorstep in the middle of a storm. "Can we stay here tonight?" she asked, her voice barely audible above the thunder. The "we" caught me off guard until I noticed the small figure half hidden behind her legs. Her 5-year-old daughter, Lily, clutching a soggy stuffed rabbit, eyes wide with exhaustion and fear. I hesitated only a moment before stepping aside. "I only have one bed," I said, the words sounding more like a confession than a statement of fact. Eliza's shoulders slumped with relief. "That's okay," she whispered. "We'll take anything." 3 years had passed since I'd last seen them. 3 years of carefully reconstructing my life after Eliza had walked out, taking not just her belongings but the future I'd imagined for us. Now here they were, standing in my apartment, dripping onto the hardwood floors I'd installed myself during those first lonely months when I needed something, anything, to occupy my hands and quiet my mind. "Let me get you some towels," I said, retreating to the bathroom. In the mirror, I caught my reflection, disheveled hair, the faded university t-shirt I'd been wearing for 2 days straight, eyes shadowed from too many late nights working on my dissertation. Not exactly how I'd imagined our reunion. When I returned, Lily was examining my bookshelf with curious fingers while Eliza stood exactly where I'd left her, as if afraid to claim any space. "The storm knocked out the power at our place," she explained, accepting the towel. "The landlord said it might be days before it's fixed. I tried a hotel, but with the convention in town." She trailed off, rubbing Lily's hair with the corner of the towel. I didn't know where else to go. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. There were 1,000 questions burning in my throat. Why now? Why here? What about the boyfriend she'd left me for, the one who had promised her everything I couldn't? But Lily's small yawn silenced them all. "You two take the bed," I said, already moving toward the closet for extra blankets. "I'll sleep on the couch." "Are you sure?" Eliza asked, her eyes meeting mine for the first time. In them, I saw gratitude, exhaustion, and something else, something that made my heart stutter in my chest. "I'm sure," I replied, looking away before old feelings could resurface. "Bathroom's still in the same place. I think I have an extra toothbrush somewhere." While Eliza helped Lily get ready for bed, I made up the couch, punching the pillow perhaps a bit harder than necessary. Outside, the storm raged on, mirroring the tumult in my chest. One night, I told myself. Just one night, and then they'd be gone again. But life rarely follows the paths we lay out for it. Morning came with weak sunlight and the unfamiliar sound of cartoons playing softly on my television. I found Lily curled on the floor, wrapped in one of my blankets, giggling at animated characters while Eliza slept in my bed, her face peaceful in a way I remembered too well. "Are you hungry?" I asked Lily, keeping my voice low. She nodded, suddenly shy. "Mommy says you make the best pancakes." The comment caught me off guard. Eliza had talked about me? "Well," I said, clearing my throat, "your mom might be right about that. Want to help?" In the kitchen, Lily proved to be a surprisingly capable assistant, carefully measuring flour and explaining the plot of her favorite show with equal concentration. By the time Eliza joined us, rubbing sleep from her eyes, we had a stack of slightly misshapen pancakes and a countertop dusted with flour. "Sorry about the mess," I said, handing her a mug of coffee, 2 sugars, no cream, just how she used to take it. The fact that I remembered made something twist in my chest. "Don't be," she replied, accepting the mug with a small smile. "This is the happiest I've seen her in weeks." Over breakfast, the story emerged in pieces. The boyfriend hadn't lasted, his promises proving as substantial as morning mist. The job she'd taken had been eliminated in company-wide cuts. The apartment they'd found had electrical issues the landlord kept promising to fix. Each setback small on its own, but together they formed an avalanche that had swept away her carefully constructed new life. "We'll be out of your hair today," she assured me, helping clear the dishes. My friend Mara said we could crash with her until things get sorted. I nodded, ignoring the strange disappointment that settled in my stomach. No rush. The storm's supposed to pick up again this afternoon. As if on cue, my phone buzzed with a weather alert. Flash flood warnings. Roads closing. Emergency services advising people to stay home. Eliza's face fell as she read the notification over my shoulder. "I guess Mara will have to wait," she said, attempting a lightness that didn't reach her eyes. And so one night became two, became three. We fell into an unexpected rhythm, Eliza taking my bed despite my protests, me on the couch, Lily alternating between us as her 5-year-old whims dictated. During the day, while I worked on my dissertation, Eliza applied for jobs on her laptop, occasionally asking my opinion on cover letters or resumes. Lily colored at the coffee table, her artistic creations slowly taking over my refrigerator door. On the fourth night, after Lily had finally fallen asleep, Eliza joined me on the balcony where I'd retreated with a glass of wine. "Thank you," she said simply, leaning against the railing. "For all of this." I shrugged, watching the city lights blur through the lingering rain. "Anyone would have done the same." "No," she said firmly. "They wouldn't. Especially not after." She paused, searching for words. "After what I did." The silence between us grew heavy with unspoken history. "Why did you come here, Eliza?" I finally asked, the question that had been haunting me since that first night. "Of all the places you could have gone?" She looked down at her hands, twisting a ring I didn't recognize. "Because you were the only person I knew would say yes," she admitted. "The only one who would open the door without making me explain or apologize first." "And is that what you want? To not have to apologize?" Her eyes, when they met mine, were filled with tears. "No. I want to apologize every day for the rest of my life. But I didn't think I had the right to ask for your forgiveness." The rain picked up again, pattering against the roof of the balcony. Inside, the apartment was warm and dry, filled with small evidences of their temporary presence. Lily's stuffed rabbit propped against a pillow, Eliza's cardigan draped over a chair, a family temporarily assembled from the fragments of what once was. "I was so sure I knew what I wanted," she continued when I didn't respond. "So convinced that there was something better waiting if I just had the courage to reach for it." She laughed, a hollow sound. "Turns out, I had everything already. I just couldn't see it." I took a sip of wine, letting the bitterness wash over my tongue. "And now? What do you want now?" She turned to face me fully, vulnerability etched in every line of her face. "I want to stop running. I want Lily to have stability, to know what it feels like to belong somewhere. I want..." She hesitated, then pushed forward. "I want to find out if some broken things can be fixed." The question hung between us, delicate as spun glass. Part of me wanted to shatter it, to remind her of the nights I'd spent staring at the ceiling, wondering what I could have done differently. The birthdays and holidays I'd navigated alone, building new traditions to replace the ones we'd shared. The careful work of excising her from my life, like removing a vital organ and learning to function without it. But another part, the part that had opened the door that stormy night, whispered of second chances and roads not taken. "I don't know if they can," I said honestly. "But I'm willing to find out." The smile that bloomed across her face was like sunrise after the longest night. The next morning, I woke to find Lily curled against my side on the couch, her small hand clutching my t-shirt. From the kitchen came the smell of coffee and the soft sounds of Eliza moving about, humming under her breath, a tune I recognized from our shared past. For the first time in 3 years, I allowed myself to imagine a future different from the solitary path I'd resigned myself to. Not a return to what was, that was impossible, but something new, built on the foundations of who we had become in our time apart. It wouldn't be easy. There would be hard conversations, boundaries to establish, trust to rebuild. There would be days when the past rose between us like a wall. But as I watched Lily stir, her eyes blinking open to focus on my face with innocent acceptance, I knew some journeys were worth the uncertainty. "Morning," Eliza said, appearing in the doorway with 2 mugs of coffee. "I hope I didn't wake you." "No," I replied, carefully extracting myself from Lily's grasp. "I think I'm finally ready to get up." She handed me a mug, our fingers brushing in the exchange. "The power's back on at our apartment," she said quietly. "I checked this morning." I nodded, feeling a weight settle in my chest. "So I guess you'll be heading out today." Eliza took a deep breath, her eyes never leaving mine. "Actually, I was thinking, maybe we could stay a little longer?" "Not here, necessarily," she added quickly. "But nearby. In this neighborhood." "I'd like that," I said, surprised by how much I meant it. Later that day, as we helped Eliza and Lily gather their few belongings, my phone rang with a call from the university. The teaching position I'd applied for months ago, the one that would allow me to stay in the city after completing my dissertation, was mine if I wanted it. "Congratulations," Eliza said when I shared the news, her smile genuine. "They're lucky to have you." "Does this mean you're staying?" Lily asked, looking up from the drawing she was finishing, a picture of 3 stick figures holding hands in front of what appeared to be my apartment building. I knelt down to her level, examining the artwork with appropriate seriousness. "It looks that way. What do you think about that?" She considered the question with the gravity only a 5-year-old can muster. "I think it's good. You make better pancakes than Mommy." Eliza laughed, the sound filling the apartment like music. She's not wrong. As they prepared to leave, temporarily, we all understood now, I found myself standing in the doorway of my bedroom, looking at the rumpled sheets where Eliza had slept. The space that had felt so empty for so long now seemed to hold possibilities I hadn't allowed myself to consider. "Ready?" Eliza asked, appearing beside me with her overnight bag. I turned to face her, struck by how different she looked from the desperate woman who had appeared at my door less than a week ago. There was color in her cheeks, determination in her stance. Whatever happened between us, I knew she would be okay. We both would. "Almost," I said. "There's just one more thing." I stepped closer, hesitating only briefly before leaning in to kiss her, softly, a question rather than a demand. She answered by drawing me closer, her free hand coming up to rest against my cheek. When we parted, Lily was watching us from the living room, her stuffed rabbit clutched to her chest and a smile spreading across her face. "I'll call you tonight," Eliza promised as they finally headed for the door. "Maybe we could do dinner this weekend? All 3 of us?" "I'd like that," I said, helping Lily with her backpack. "And maybe next time, we can figure out the sleeping arrangements a little better." Eliza's laugh echoed in the hallway as they made their way to the elevator. "I don't know," she called back. "I think I only have one bed, worked out pretty well for us in the end." As I closed the door behind them, I noticed the apartment didn't feel empty as I'd feared. Instead, it felt like a space waiting to be filled again, with laughter, with challenges, with the messy, complicated beauty of starting over. Sometimes the most profound beginnings happen when we open doors we thought were closed forever. Sometimes the storms that threaten to drown us are actually washing away the debris, clearing paths to places we never thought we'd return to. And sometimes, just sometimes, the limitations we think will keep us apart, like having only one bed, turn out to be the very things that bring us closer together. The end is really just the beginning. And this beginning, unexpected as it was, felt right in a way I couldn't yet articulate but somehow knew to be true. Outside, the clouds were finally breaking, sunlight streaming through in golden ribbons across the city. A new day. A new chance. A story still being written, one day at a time.